Yeah, hi everyone. So indeed, my name is Bram. It's pretty tough, I know. We're originally a Dutch company. I think I'm the third Dutch guy on stage in a row. But we recently moved, we expanded to America because we really see that the maker movement is happening here. And today I'm speaking at world's biggest maker conference, so I'm really excited about that. Yes. Yeah, so if I were to summarize 3D Hubs in one sentence, I would say we connect 3D printer owners with people who want to print something. It's an idea that me and my co-founder Brian got a few years ago when we saw that the install base of 3D printers is quickly increasing. But at the same time, by talking to 3D printer owners, we learned that they're sitting idle on average 90% of the time. Yes. Yeah. So to us it made a lot of sense to connect all that idle 3D print capacity into one online platform. And that's what became 3D Hubs. So 2 years ago, yes, we decided to quit our jobs at 3D Systems and go all in with 3D Hubs. So one of the first things we did is create this video and show the world how much fun it would be if people would start sharing their 3D printers with others. And no video. Can we play the video? So back then, after seeing this video, some people advised us to pivot to a dating site. But luckily we didn't, because now, 2 years later, we have the world's largest network of 3D printers. We have 16,000 3D printers connected in 150 countries. That's more than McDonald's has. And together, all these 3D printers now provide over 1 billion people in the world with access to 3D printing within 10 miles of their home. So the company has grown fast. We have offices in Amsterdam and New York. We hired 30 people who, as a Christmas present, we got 3D scanned and printed, of which this is the result. Yes, no. This is a terrible clicker, guys. There we go. So yeah, Brian and I, we're actually already working in the 3D print industry for 6 years. And the technology really intrigues us because it's a digital manufacturing technology. And therefore, it falls within a larger digitization trend that has really changed a lot of industries over the last decade. For example, the music industry. After the initial resistance of record labels, it is now fully digitized. And we, as a consumer, we benefit because we can listen to millions of different songs at the push of a button on our smartphone, tablet, and laptop. We believe this digitization will happen to manufacturing and will have large positive impact on that. This is what manufacturing looked like about 150 years ago. Products were made by hand, so it was not very scalable. But what was really nice about it is that products were only made after a customer placed an order, so there was little stock, and the customers lived close by, so there was also very little transportation. After that, we got the industrial revolutions and assembly lines. And now, because of globalization and the endless quest for cheap labor, we've moved over most production to Asia. And the result of that is this. That we need large container ships to sail the world and get these products to consumers. And it doesn't feel really efficient, especially not if you realize that container ships emit more carbon emissions than all cars in the world combined. And with mass production, as the word already tells us, products are made in very large quantities. So you have large stock, and an estimated 30% of all those products has to be thrown away because nobody wanted it. So we believe in a different future of manufacturing. We believe in a future where products are made local and on demand instead of far away and in large quantities. And we also believe that 3D printers have the best shot at making this future a reality. Because with 3D printers, you can make millions of different products at the push of a button in any location in the world. So with 3D Hubs, we want to accelerate this future by giving everyone local access to 3D printing. And this screen capture of our website shows how easy it is to get something printed. So you go to our website, 3dhubs.com, you upload a design or pick something from our website. Then you fill out your address. This was in New York. And then you'll see all the 3D print locations in your area. You see the distance to your home, you see the ratings of previous customers, and you get a real-time price for each location. So once you chose a location, you pick a color, material, and whether you want to pick up the product or have it shipped. So when we started 2 years ago, this was the first order we got. This was the first week that we started. The guy on the left, he was called Ken, and he needed a case for his GoPro camera. So he was browsing on Amazon. He saw cases for around $45, and he would have to wait a week to get it delivered because he was living in the Netherlands. So instead, Ken was smart. Through us, we connected him to the 14-year-old kid on the right called Ruben, who owned a 3D printer, and was able to print him a GoPro case for $15 the same day. And that evening, when Ken went to Ruben to pick up the case, he even got a demonstration of the 3D printer. So once we saw that, we really knew that we were onto something, because we were able to make products cheaper, faster, and create a completely different consumer experience. So since then, close to 100,000 products have been ordered on 3D Hubs. And I'll just show you a few examples of what people make. So a lot of people make prototypes. This is a prototype for design students in the Netherlands who are creating a bike, of course, since they're Dutch. And it's pretty cool, because this prototype was made on a desktop 3D printer. It was close to 40 parts, and only a few of them were plastic. So the pink parts are PLA plastic, but many of the other parts are made out of wood-filled material, bronze-filled material, all on a desktop 3D printer. This is someone's take on the new Apple Watch. He developed a 3D printed version of that, it was also an entry in a contest we're currently organizing with Instructables. It's pretty cool. Steve Wozniak said he liked this watch over the actual one that Apple sells. This is one of the really coolest printed parts I've seen. This is from Star Wars. This lightsaber here is about 2 feet tall. Really high quality prints, all made on desktop 3D printers. And people actually also use our platform to make consumer products, so not only prototypes. This is a loudspeaker made out of wood-filled material. You see, hopefully you can see that, some of the layer structure on there. In this case, this really became a design feature, I'd say. So over the last 2 years, we've built this network of 16,000 3D printers. And what we did last week is launch Teleport. And Teleport is our public API, and it basically allows any creator or publisher of 3D printable content to get access to this production network. So you can basically install a 3D print button on your content platform, on your website, on your design app, and allow your users to send these designs to nearby 3D printers. So I guess most of you are familiar with Thingiverse, an online content platform, and they already installed this 3D print button. So from Thingiverse, you can now print directly in the 3D Hubs network. Same goes for Sketchfab. And thanks to Sketchfab's their partnership with Facebook, you can now print directly with 3D hubs from Facebook. For example, this piece from the British Museum. The British Museum is scanning their objects and making them available also on Facebook. And with Instructables, I guess many of you guys are on Instructables. If you now upload a STL file as part of your Instructable, you're allowing the users of Instructables to directly print that in our network of 16,000 printers. So we at 3D Hubs at our offices, we're always playing with the latest 3D print materials, with the accessories. So we have a pretty good feeling of what's really the most innovative stuff out there. And what we've been working on the last few months is making those products available to our community of 16,000 3D printer owners. And today we're announcing that we're giving them up to 25% discount on all these products that we like. So I'll take you through the suppliers that we're working with here. AstroPrint, for example. AstroPrint allows you to send 3D designs directly to your 3D printer wirelessly through their Astro box. Then there's BuildTech. If you guys have a 3D printer, you probably have seen the problem where the first layer doesn't always stick to the build platform. These guys develop sheets which really, for a large part, solve that problem, and also a lot of frustration. ColorFab is a very innovative supplier of 3D print materials. They developed carbon fiber material, bamboo filled material, bronze filled material. Philobot, I guess you all have the problem of prints not coming out. If you own a 3D printer, prints not coming out the way you want to. So you can now recycle these 3D prints with the Philobot and turn it into new cartridges for your 3D printer. Made Solid, they develop resins and castable materials for SLA printers. And Protopasta, who develops magnetic materials and even conductive materials for your desktop 3D printer. So we're really excited to announce that today, that we're working with these partners. Yeah, so thanks for listening, guys. Happy to answer any questions you might have. I guess not. Well, that's good. Hopefully a good sign.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much, Bram. Appreciate it. Thanks. So for me, to have heard from these three speakers about like Atmel's platform and how it can be used, for those of you who are doing development with the Atmel chips and Arduinos anyways, if you're going to go to market, that resource being there. We've heard about the importance of a centralized 3D printing platform to go to market with, and then how to use a distributed platform for 3D printing. And while I was very happy to hear all those things, what I'm most happy with is the fact that I don't have to say another Dutch name here on stage and sound terrible as I fumble it up. How many people here were at Eric Klein's session yesterday in the Crescent Room in the morning? Okay. Phenomenal session. He's absolutely incredible. He's going to be coming up here next with a panel to be talking about crowdfunding. And it's not about crowdfunding. It's about all the incredible benefits that can be had for you as an innovator going to market with the platforms that are crowdfunding. But we have to take a 10-minute break right now to stretch your legs. They have to do some things up here for later on this evening. But in 10 minutes, we'll get started, and it'll be Eric Klein, John D'Amato of Kickstarter, as well as Josh Lifton from Crowd Supply. So we'll start again in 10 minutes.
Told you to be patient. And I told you to be patient, and I told you to be fine, and I told you to be balanced, and I told you to be kind. And now all your love is wasted, and then who the hell was I? And I'm breaking at the bridges, and at the end of all your lies. Who will Lovely girl, won't you stay? Won't you stay? Stay with me. All my life I was blind, now I see. Lovely girl, won't you stay? Won't you stay? Stay with me. All my life I was blind, now I see. Fleet of black limousines, all tinted machines. Here comes the cavalcade with the armored cars like the red flags on antennas, designed to keep me safe. And oh my, oh hey, here he comes, the candidate. Blue-eyed boy, United States, vote for him, the candidate. Diamonds cut for the carats. Plaster of Paris, the floats fill up the street. And beauty queens with the white gloves, all sick from the nightclubs. They wave with pageantry. And oh my, oh hey, here it comes, the big parade. Marching bands and barricades make way for the big parade. Oh, canvas covered in resin. Violent men dance the blood ballet. And the bookies say it's the third round. Oh, we knew we would go down. If you don't, it's hell to pay, hell to raise. And oh my, oh hey, here he comes, the welterweight. Take a dive, for goodness sake, or say goodbye to the welterweight. Catholic priest in a crisis, torn between romance and Jesus, or win the Civil War. And he says, I'm in love with a woman. Yeah, this is my confession. I'm leaving and I can't priest anymore. And oh my, oh hey, there he goes, the man of faith. Left the church for a fiancé, let him love the man of faith. Oh. TV cameras and stagehands, American bandstand, electric guitar, and he's singing songs for the lonely. Oh, the girls with the room key, they know all his words by heart. And I'll say, lovely girl, won't you stay with me? All my life I was blind, now I see. Lovely girl, won't you stay with me? All my life I was blind, now I see. Lovely girl, won't you stay? Oh my, oh hey, here she comes. arms of mine. They are lonely, lonely and feeling blue. These arms of mine, they are yearning, yearning from wanting you. And if you would let them hold you, oh, how grateful I will be. These arms of mine, they are burning, burning from wanting you. These arms of mine, they are wanting to hold you. And if you would let them hold you, oh, how grateful I will be. Come on, baby. Just be my little woman. Just be my lover. Oh, I need me somebody, somebody to treat me right. Oh, I need your arms, loving arms to hold me tight. And I need your tender lips to hold me. Tell me when I'm around. And we're slow to acknowledge the knots in our laces, audit races.
Hello. Okay, we'll start again. Building community with customers. Now, if this was a panel about crowdfunding, we wouldn't be doing our job, because a part of our value proposition here is to allow you to do networking with other like-minded people, give visibility to projects, a variety of other things, but one of them is to help you stay ahead of the curve. And if we were just talking about crowdfunding by itself, it wouldn't be news, it wouldn't be helpful to you. So we got on the phone, and I was really pleased with how quickly we came around with the other aspects of a campaign that are really important for your long-term benefit with your customer relationships. And so we have Eric Klein here, who was doing the Crescent Room session yesterday morning, which was fantastic, along with John D'Amato of Kickstarter and Josh Lifton of Crowd Supply. And they're going to flesh out some dimensions of crowdfunding that you may not have thought about, but may be important advantages for you to be aware of and take advantage of as you go through these campaigns. So come on up, guys.
Hello, everyone. Settle in here. It's going to be a long haul. All right, so hello, everybody. All right, all you laptop viewers. Now you look up. Hello. Got a waiver in the back. So while this is a crowdfunding session, the first thing I wanted to say is we really want this to be interactive. So we're going to talk for a little bit, but hopefully you're in this room because you've got some questions, some comments about the future of crowdfunding. So again, we're going to talk for just a couple minutes, give you a little bit of an overview, get this thing started, but a highly interactive session. Please reach out to us. We will find a way to see you and continue the dialogue from your questions. So really quickly, why don't we go ahead and just do introductions, and you want to just kick it off?
Sure. My name is Josh Lifton. I'm the co-founder and CEO of CrowdSupply. I started CrowdSupply with my co-founders about 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, and we really came from the engineering side of things and brought our product design experience, our e-commerce experience, and we were trying to fill that gap that a lot of you in this room probably have. Create a product, and then what do you do? So fundamentally, CrowdSupply is a heavily curated, kind of high-quality products platform, where crowdfunding is the center of it. We have our own crowdfunding platform, and then there's a variety of services around that that augment that. So we do fulfillment, we do marketing, we do sales afterward, we do campaign strategy, things like that. And we actually, our main business is actually selling things afterward. So the campaign is the beginning, and that relationship continues on for as long as that product exists. To date, we've launched over 80 products. We have the highest success rate. It's about 60% now of our projects succeed. The highest funding, average funding for those projects. And so far, perfect delivery record. And for me, that's the most important thing, is getting things to people who paid for them. Some of them are late, of course, but they're all on track, either delivered or on track for delivery. And our main sectors that have kind of chosen us are open hardware, which you're all fairly familiar with, I think. Premium lifestyle goods that have a heavy craftsmanship component, and then educational technology, kind of STEM products. And I can talk more about those, of course. You can go to crowdsupply.com, check it out. And we have a lot of stuff coming up.
Hi, everyone. My name is John D'Amatos. I'm the lead for tech and design projects at Kickstarter. We've been around for about 6 years. I came to Kickstarter about 2.5 years ago. I used to work at MakerBot. I came in from the maker community and started thinking and looking at how to help the tech community really have a great presence on our site. In the last 6 years, we've had about 8.2 million people back projects. We have a few thousand projects live at any given time on the site, and we've had $1.6 billion pledged towards projects. What all this means for me is a lot of great success for independent thinkers and creators that want to really have great tech projects and professionalize along a path that is meaningful to them. We're a very inclusive platform, and one of the stats that I'm particularly proud of is the fact that we've had over 800 projects raise over $100,000. It's a meaningful number, and for those of you who were in Eric's session yesterday, you'll see that you can have a very sustainable existence with a lifestyle type company based on a tech project, and we see a lot of that happening on Kickstarter. Some interesting things that have been happening in the last year or so. We've seen a great trend of repeat creators that had a successful project, delivered on it, and then are coming back for a second project. And these are experienced, refined creators that have bigger teams, have more confidence, and they take on more ambitious projects. Most notably, Pebble Time was a big project this year, and when they came back, you'll see it spread out throughout their campaign. They were back for the community. They were back for the bigger narrative of reaching out to their original backers and launching their new product with them all over again. And we did an event with them at South by Southwest, and they invited a lot of their original backers. It was packed. It was packed to the gills full of people that were fans of the company and Eric and the story, and we really like to celebrate that. We've also had a bunch of other big creators come back this year, like 3Doodler came back with a project, and it also fits into, on the other side of the spectrum with smaller companies that have been really doing interesting things along the lines of 4, 5, 6 projects over the course of the last few years, really fine-tuning and fitting in a Kickstarter campaign in their larger business model. We see now people really thinking about it in a mature way of understanding and saying, there's a corpus of thousands of projects that have already done this on Kickstarter. You can read the page, you can read the comments, you can read the FAQ, and really understand in a transparent way what worked, what didn't. So we see a lot of groups now really taking advantage of that, and the ecosystem that has risen up around us as well. So that leads me actually to something that we think about a lot, which is communities. The maker community is in some ways the prototypical community of people that share a value system, and they look at our platform and they develop like a communal set of best practices. And you kind of see like the knowledge transfer within that community. So for example, at most maker fairs, we observe about 10% of exhibitors have run Kickstarter campaigns. And you also now start to see groups like Hacks, Accelerator, launch groups of projects in a class. So we have one of their projects, Chip, right now has raised over $1 million. And it's like 4 or 5 projects all at the same time. And you kind of see they launched together, they learned from each other. It's a really great moment. A lot of like students are coming out of programs that have launched dozens of projects. And to me, what it really means is people that decide that they look at our platform and they see that they can do it their own way, for their own reasons, in a way that is sustainable for themselves. So we look at that and we think a lot about where it goes next. And one of the things is creative communities that are not traditionally doing hardware. So if you're a graphic designer, you're able to now kind of take advantage of the ecosystem that's out there to do something that is moderately more ambitious than what you were doing before. And I'm sure Josh is seeing a lot of this stuff too. Like you see people that might be coming out of crafts, out of graphic design, and utilizing an ecosystem of developing with prototyping systems like the Arduino, and sometimes sticking with those platforms for the production side as well. Or sometimes like taking it to larger scale using like an ecosystem that includes companies like PCH and Dragon. So that's like kind of like some of the big things that we're seeing this year. We launched a couple of great features. We've integrated with Google Analytics, which gives you like a more fine-tuned understanding of where your traffic is coming from. And we also launched a feature called Spotlight that allows you to kind of maintain like a better showcase of your project with updates after the campaign is done. That's kind of it.
Cool. Hi, I'm Eric Klein, and I am a crowdfunding addict. Okay, no, this is not a therapy session. I'm Eric Klein. I'm a partner at Lemnos Labs, and I have a little bit different perspective on crowdfunding because I run a hardware accelerator, Lemnos Labs, and so a lot of my teams have to figure out at some point in their lives what to do about this term, crowdfunding, or pre-sales. And I think the interesting thing, crowdfunding to me is it's one of my sort of it gets me more excited than any other word in my vocabulary. More so than maybe CAD or other great things. But what I mean to say by that is the word crowdfunding means more than just that word. Like inside of that word, as we unpack this, there are things like inside of that words like patron, pre-sales, marketing, relationship. And how you manage this isn't, I think the funny thing is so many people, and even the companies that come through my program often say, I'm going to do this crowdfunding thing like it's a one-off event. And the funny thing is it's not a singular event. There's a long lead up to whatever you're doing. There's the thing that you're doing. And then you have to remember that is just the beginning of a relationship that you're creating. Inside of that, other things, folks are like, well, I'm doing this because I'm trying to raise money. And the first thing I want to do is I want to grab them and beat them around a little bit and go, wait a minute. What is it that you want out of your crowdfunding campaign? And then what's the right vehicles, the right tools to accomplish that goal? But I think we're gonna set this conversation up about the future from today forward. Really, where is crowdfunding going? What does it really mean? Because I think, again, it is more than this 30-day campaign to try to generate revenue and pre-sales for a product. It's way more than that. And I want to unpack that. And I want to hear what you guys are thinking about it, what your questions are about it. And I think as we go into the future, I'm going to add a few more words to the mix. Equity, right? Equity funding. And again, extending that relationship. Curation is a big word that's on my mind a lot. If you read my blog, I'm a huge fan of creating positive relationships. You said you had 100% a ship rate, it sounded like. Again, it's an important part of reputation, right? People who come back for the second ones are building on a successful campaign. So as we go through, I think crowdfunding, that word, it has history, right? We've been doing it a while. I think today crowdfunding is very different than it was just a few years ago. And I'm going to make the argument in a few years it's going to be very different again. And so I'd like to focus that conversation around where we're going to, where we're going. And so I'm going to throw a question or two out there, and then again we'll take some questions from the audience as well. So I think one of the great questions, and I'm going to ask both of you to chime in on, is it's an interesting relationship where there is a product owner. There's the crowdfunding firm, right, the agent in the middle, and then there's the end user who's buying, and I got to be careful with my words, right, and we're going to get into that in a minute, right, who enters into a relationship around the crowdfunding. Who owns that customer relationship, and how do you guys see that both today, and how do you see that evolving, because I know it's evolving, right?
Yeah, so for us, Crowd Supply is a very business-oriented place, and so we give that all that customer data to our creators. At the same time, it's heavily curated, and so they're also our customer, and we want to do everything we can to make sure that they get what they're expecting. So really, the first relationship is between us and the creator, making sure we're on the same page and that we're confident they can deliver what they're talking about, and that they're going to be upfront with their customers, and then we support them going forward as they make those relationships with customers. Yeah. Okay,
gotcha.
For us, so the relationship is definitely squarely between the creator and their backer. We build in a lot of things to elevate like a sense of transparency and honesty. It's built into our terms between the creators of projects and the backers. We definitely curate on an editorial level. It's an inclusive platform. Anybody can run a project, but we have a great team of editors who are constantly looking at all the different categories, 15 of them, to make sure that there's like a balance that like really represents like the more artistic side of Kickstarter alongside with like the more like hard-nosed kind of technology side of things as well. It's you always want, for us, it's always about like representing that mix in like a really ambitious, in an ambitious way. But the relationship is squarely between the creator, who's making the project and the product, and the backer. We have a fairly large outreach team that works closely with creators and gives them feedback on their project.
Let's get more nuanced on this. So you start a campaign and people start to back it, and the interesting thing is there's communication going on oftentimes through the crowdfunding site between the creator and the consumer. And as that's going on nowadays, I think for folks out in the audience, maybe you can echo and comment on this. Folks are going, all right, well, I got one backer here, but I want them now to go viral. And so in this world, we talk about retargeting ads, and we talk about building on the velocity, that each backer is the beginning of more velocity. And so they're trying, at some level, the product creators like, look, I need more information. I want to reach out to these people even before the campaign is done and start to use them to amplify. And I think some tools are being built into platforms to help with that, but it's an interesting relationship because maybe if it had a funding goal, it might not have even hit it yet the product creators are already trying to create even more velocity. So there's already a little, I am going to call it tension, or a little bit of, hey, I want to start to really go one-on-one with the backers even before the campaign's done, let alone after it's done, where I think a lot of times they're like, the product creators are like, give me all the data, I need to run with it. On the other hand, maybe there's the opportunity as crowdfunding goes forward to be a more symbiotic relationship after the campaign ends. So I'd like to talk about that interaction maybe between the product owner and the funding, the backbone, the what you guys do.
I think you're pinpointing one of the most interesting dynamics on our site. There's definitely a need when you launch a project to do outreach, to get the word out, to find the right audience for your project. It's not always, like, you'll find a lot of people on our site that like want to see new interesting things, but your people are out there and you need to find them. So, Google Analytics is our first kind of foray into this territory. We don't do retargeting pixels, but you
Okay.
can accomplish a lot with something like Google Analytics.
Yep.
But the balance there and the tension for me is, do you want a lot of people that includes some people that are a little bit like, they might want it, they might like it? Or would you prefer to have like a much more targeted, enthusiastic, but smaller group of people? How aggressive do you want to be with that outreach? It's a very interesting tension, and it should to some extent be happening during the campaign. And the way that you communicate with your backers should always be in a very respectful and familial way. We always say, look, your backers are fundamentally, they're going to be very close with you. You're going to know a lot of them by first name. You might hire some of them to do community work for you.
Right.
So treat them as such. It's an evolution from thinking of them just as customers.
Right.
They're definitely not customers. They're much more than that. They are pledging towards your project and backing it financially, and it doesn't exist yet, to speak to the tension of using the word buy.
Right.
Right? Like, this is not a thing that exists yet. You buy something that exists. So when somebody gives you money towards that, they are trusting you. So we always want to encourage like a sense of, again, transparency and also just being forthright with those backers about what you expect from them to do. So there's nothing built into our system that like encourages like a referral scheme, because that's going to be, it's going to incentivize in a very different way.
Okay.
Later, after the campaign, using that core group post Kickstarter is really up to you about like if you want to develop programs like that.
Do you see yourself extending that relationship? Again, the campaign ends, and in the old, I'm going to say in the old model, right? The names were transferred over, and responsibility, in a large part, moved from Kickstarter to a direct relationship between the creator and the backer.
It's still done like that.
Do you see yourselves extending farther in and trying to add value, sort of post that, and maybe I'll use an example to make my point. So Pebble runs a campaign, they come back 12 months later. Interesting thing, in between here and there, now Pebble may be an interesting example because they have such a well-developed channel and brand, but in between that window, between the campaigns, do you see that there's value in what you guys build and being involved with product creators between those two start and end points?
We do stay involved. We maintain conversations there. So the same way, it's interesting. So project creators maintain communications with their backers. We maintain communication with our creators. We want to celebrate their successes, spotlight the new feature that we have where you can kind of showcase what's going on after your project. That's our first foray into it. It's, we think hard about this stuff. It's like we're doing it in a very specific and targeted way.
Well, I mean, and I'm going to jump over in just a second, but I think it's interesting because in all the campaigns I back, which is way too many, the email that I get from that point all the way to shipment is actually through it. It's got the Kickstarter. It's through Kickstarter still, right? I mean, or at least most of the ones I get that way. So I see how I still see your brand all the way through that cycle up to delivery.
It's really up to the creator. They have the backer emails, so they can.
You must be doing something right. They want to use your vehicle, maybe. I don't know. It's what I'm noticing.
I will let our devs know.
Okay. Give me your perspective on this.
So I agree with that protecting the customer and handing over that relationship and helping that relationship mature. I think the fundamental difference between Kickstarter and crowd supply is summed up in this buy term, right? Like for us, and to give you the backstory, the genesis of crowd supply, back in 2012, we were watching things like the first Pebble watch and the Elevation dock and a couple other campaigns on Kickstarter, and this was coming from places, people that I knew and places I'd been, and I was thinking, wow, we could be doing that. And then there was that seminal blog post that Kickstarter had, Kickstarter's not a store, and my co-founders and I all looked at each other and like, you do e-commerce and you have a fulfillment center and like we make products. So 6 months later to the day, our first blog post was crowd supply is a store.
22 minutes in, for the record. Now we're here. Okay.
And so, and that sums up the foundational difference, right? I mean, we only sell things, first of all, right? So it's only physical things that are manufactured and shipped to somebody. We don't do kind of the more traditional arts patronage type thing. But But yeah, to get to your question, yeah, absolutely there's value there. I mean, fundamentally, I think that the funding aspect of crowdfunding will be quickly commoditized, and it's already happening, right? Like, I can go set up a Stripe account right now, right, and do it all myself if I really wanted to, and that's getting easier and easier. You don't even have to program at this point, hardly. So the value add is going to be in the relationships that you foster and maintain, and the brand that you're building, like you said, the reputation. Are people getting what they need?
Help me, and I'm so excited to have you two on the stage because I want to really talk about this. The challenge I have, and I've written about it, really is for me, and there's no right answer. I think we're going to see a model where different things are created for different purposes, but today I'm going to call it the dichotomy of the patron versus pre-sales, or thinking about the patron model and a channel model. And I think I'm going to say that you're, at some level, when you have the buy button, it's a channel. And folks like Best Buy, they create a channel and they maintain relationships with customers afterwards. And we've seen some examples on the bigger form with like Kickstarter. I mean, Pebble coming back, wow, that looked a heck of a lot like a pre-sales campaign. And it had the numbers of a pre-sales campaign from an amazing company. I mean, gosh, amazing sales, amazing what happened there. But then again, at the same time, right next to it, if I hit the back button, I might land on a small indie art project, and it's much more of a patron relationship. How do you guys see those two words working together and with the frame of reference, not only us, who are somewhat educated about it, but that end user out in the middle of America who's like going to a page and going, what am I doing when I hit the button?
Yeah.
I think about this a lot. And I think that, wouldn't it be great if it turns out that we are moving, I think we are moving towards a world in which, like, it was patron and what was the other one?
Well, like pre-sales or channel or...
Patron, pre-sale, customer, producer, like, it's different sides of a coin. Usually it's somebody who has something and wants to provide it to you in a very clean transaction. What if we're hybridizing and it's more about a fan base? Mm-hmm. What if, like, take Pebble Time, for example. Actually, that's a great example. You have an enormous set of backers, like thousands of people who, they don't just want a thing. They want a thing and they want to understand what it is, how it happened, and they want to be part of, like, creating that story with Pebble. So I think my answer is I think we're moving towards a place where it becomes more of a hybrid future. The
challenge I have, and I'm going to, you have a buy button, and you have today 100% conversion. You hit that buy button, the product's going to come out. I think when I hit that button on the Pebble Time, I was pretty darn confident I was going to get a Pebble Time out of that deal. Again, I hit the back button and I land on a page, and all of a sudden, again, if I hit 5 times on a button and I get it 5 times in a row, it's like the slots. On the 6th time, I expect I'm going to win, but when it goes bust, I'm like, whoa, what happened? So it's the expectations, because it's one button, and so I look at that and I go, depending on where you're landing, the expectations are changing. I think in your case, it's a consistent one, and I think in the Kickstarter narrative, you have such a wider scope.
Yes.
And so that's the interesting thing, because I think about it from the end user's perspective. I'm always trying to think of the relationship and building a great relationship. And part of it is when I talk to my companies, I'm like, you're building a reputation through whatever campaign vehicle you use. And so that end-to-end experience has got to be great. And so part of it is brand affiliation. If I see that this brand is affiliated with 100% fulfill rate, that's awesome. And Kickstarter has a great reputation as well, but protecting that when the button has these interesting meanings, I'm intrigued, especially going forward, how we protect all of our reputations through this process.
It's definitely an evolving conversation. We've spun up like a really strong integrity team that's always looking at the site, looking for how they can help creators, how they can help both of these communities. There's definitely a balance there. We strive to be very inclusive across 15 different categories, and we want people to treat the platform in the best way for their community. So, like, the theater community is very strong. Like, people just kind of coalesce around it, and they are more in the patron model for sure. Mm-hmm. But again, even somebody who's running like a theater or a dance project has things that they will want to deliver as rewards in addition to receiving the money for patronage towards the project. So a lot of stuff, like, you get a lot of best practices that carry over. So fulfillment, for example, as like a topic that comes up. So to like use a company that like can do fulfillment for your T-shirts, for example. If you're running a T-shirt project in the fashion category, that's fundamental to the actual product of what you're doing. If you're doing a music project or a theater project, it's tangential, but you still get to benefit from the best practices that were developed in that other category.
Got it.
Yeah.
Talk to me, because your button, because I've zeroed in on the button, on that click. Your click has a meaning.
Yep.
And how did you come up with that meaning, and where do you see that meaning going forward? Like, what does that click mean?
I wish I took video of the hours of conversation we had on what that button would say. Wow. But there's actually 3 different texts, right? One is back this project, where it's crowdfunding, very much like you'd find on Kickstarter. Then there's pre-order now, right, where the funding has been done, you're just getting in line, right? You're still supporting the project, and yours is going to come next. And there's add to cart, right, where we have it in our warehouse, or drop ship, or consignment, or whatever it is. And so each of those denotes a slightly different expectation. On the expectation side of things, there's, if you just took a single snapshot of our site, it would say back this project, and it might say deliver or ships in December, right? But if you come back and 500 backers later, it will say ships in January or February, right? And the rationale there, instead of just being static text, it's actually baked into our platform that we understand your manufacturing process enough that we can put fairly reliable dates out there. And so that's the sort of detail that is much more about commerce and buying a thing. At the same time, I agree with John that melding together of patronage and purchasing is, I think, the ideal case, right? I don't want to sell things that are just going to end up in a landfill. And I want people to be so excited about the product that they're about to buy that they would actually give a little bit extra anyway, right? And so, and we see that a lot. People will buy their laptop and throw in, a 6-pack of beer. So,
I'm going to pause. Questions from the audience? Yes. I think we have hold on. We have a mic coming right to you. Thank you. If you yell, I'll repeat the question.
From your experience, what trends do you see in successful campaigns? What trends do you see in unsuccessful?
Okay, so the question was, what trends, I like how it's a forward-leading question into the future, what trends do you see in successful projects, and what trends do you see in ones that weren't as successful?
I think we're going to agree on this one.
Cats.
Preparation. And cats, yes. Preparation.
Lols.
Honestly, preparation is going to always be the key for this. Teams that decide they want to run a Kickstarter campaign like a month before they decide to do it and haven't really developed a preview that they've shared with their friends, with trusted colleagues and advisors to get feedback on their messaging, or have started reaching out to media or developing a social media strategy. If you don't do the right preparation, that's going to affect your campaign. I like to tell teams as early as possible, 3 months, 6 months, 8 months, start preparing for this. It's a big milestone, right? It's supposed to take you from zero to something significant that propels you into the future. That's the before, and the after is also very important. What are you doing the day that the campaign is done? What's your plan? With Crowd Supply, it's actually built in, which is great. For us, you need to know what you're doing because we want you to succeed, so you have to have some sort of plan.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. Because we heavily curate what is launched on the platform, the flip side of curation is it's not just rejecting, right? It's actually giving advice and saying, hey, this is a really neat idea, but we don't think it's feasible for X, Y, Z. And X, Y, Z could be, marketing, physics, preparation, anything. And we've seen, perpetual motion machines, which is not possible. But then we've seen really good ideas that they just haven't prepared enough, right? They just haven't done anything in preparation yet. So part of my job is talking to people and saying, hey, you could launch this tomorrow, and I think you could get this goal, right? If you put in 3 months or however long and do these things, then you can hit this goal, right? So it's a pretty basic equation, right? There's how many people you can get this in front of, and assuming it's a good idea, we know within very small margins what the conversion rate is, and then it's just how much are they going to spend, how much does it cost, and this is your goal here. That's how much you're going to get out of it.
It's not a magical solution, basically. You're still going to need a business plan. You're still going to need like a strong sense of identity and messaging, and knowing what you want to get out of the campaign. A great group of backers. I see a lot of teams that start off as having never done any marketing for themselves before, and just having to go through this process, really understand who they are, they understand how to work with their team, they understand the messaging around their campaign, how to talk about it. That's very important. That, in terms of things that happen around the campaign that are not necessarily backers and dollars raised, neither the crowd or the funding, it's understanding who you are in that process. It can be a very vulnerable thing.
Yeah. I want to build on something you said real quick. You said I want relationships where the product doesn't end up in the landfill, and I want to build on that. We're going Jetsons. We're going into the future here. So we talk about a relationship between the consumer and the product creator, and I think we pay it a little bit of lip service right now in terms of them being involved in the product cycle, which is perk level 32. I get to pick white or black. I'm like, okay. That's really simple. Do you see a future where maybe even before the product is ready, oh my gosh, I just said way before it's ready, that consumers can get involved in meaningful ways with a product creator about what it is? I've heard 5 sessions here about ideation early and understanding the customer thing. Is that a function that might get rolled into this so that it's not selecting your color during the purchase, but that there is a meaningful relationship between potential patron, and I think that's where patron really starts to kick in. I get excited. Now I can be a patron again. But we would have to change the platform to make that relationship so at the end it doesn't end up in the landfill. It's a passionate item that I feel connected to.
I don't see a future in that because it's already happened, right?
Tell me about that
then. The prime example that's fresh in my mind is the Librem 15 laptop, which is a laptop built actually just south of here. And when the campaign launched in late November, it had one set of specifications, which were pretty good, but most people didn't want that. And they really made themselves known, right? They're like, I don't want this. I want 32 gigs of RAM. I want an empty drive bay. I want hardware switches to turn off wireless and whatnot.
But for the folks in the audience who might not know this, did the backers get vocal and the campaign fail and it come back as a new thing, or did it reboot in flight?
This was rebooted in flight. So come maybe a month into it, Todd, the creator, he's like, well, I'm trying my hardest to fix these things, and don't get me wrong, he worked his butt off, right? I mean, he was working. He answered every email just as he should have. He went back to his manufacturers and suppliers and tried to get the best he could. In the end, the entire motherboard of the laptop, which is really the core, was completely redesigned. And so now there's something that many people are quite happy with. He raised close to $500,000 doing it, and he's starting to ship, I think, next month.
It's a great project.
Yeah, and that was like, I wish I could see that in every project where real feedback happened. And Pebble is a great example. They were a watershed, but I was a little bit disappointed that they brought in their old community, and I think it's great they gave them access, but they had that, like we were talking earlier, it was either fully designed or it wasn't going to ship when they said, right? And so I felt like if it had incorporated that sort of feedback, who knows what we would have, right? I mean, that would be, I think, amazing if that level of project could do that.
Some of the stuff that we're seeing, and again, I agree, this is already happening. So the color thing, I see it as like similar to the first conversations in 3D printing around, you can customize it, you can make anything, so what am I going to make? It feels very similar to kind of like that early stage conversation. But the things that I'm seeing, there's interesting kind of anecdotal stuff. There was a 3D printer project out of the UK that the spools that they were shipping had NFC in them in order for the machine to recognize the material and the color. And the backers demanded that they also ship empty spools so they can put their own experimental material on. And they changed some things. They just made the NFC chip reprogrammable so that the community could do it. So in this case, what the community did was basically say, we are more in tune with openness. Could you make your platform a little more open? And there's a little bit of a conversation and effectively a negotiation that happens there between the creator and the backer. We think it's a fascinating thing. We think it's healthy. But we're also seeing, like, some of the stuff that I like is also considering, like, involvement, not necessarily in, like, a very active, like, do this for me or change this for me because I want it like this, which is great. We also see it in the form of storytelling and the form of narrative, of people understanding that they are not industrial designers. They will never be industrial designers. And yet, industrial designers and engineers affect everything in their lives. So just hearing about, we went to the factory, here's a picture from the factory.
Yeah.
Here's why we made the design decision the way that we did it. Introducing design thinking to a more mainstream audience is a way of doing this.
Gotcha.
It's a really great way of people bringing in, and it feels a lot like athletics, like sports. People who are fans of sports, they cannot dunk the ball, but they really love it when somebody else does it.
Gotcha. Questions? We're going to take any more questions? I am scanning around. Okay.
There's one back there.
I had a question.
Oh, good.
And
Okay.
we'll get the other question in just a second.
Yep.
But no doubt, both companies have a very strong, place a very high priority on their brand and maintaining that brand. But it seemed to be very early in the conversation that there was a difference in how much of your brand you were willing to imbue into the delivery of a product. So you seem like you're willing to say, I will put in Crowd Supply my brand in some jeopardy here because I'm going to try to make sure that things get delivered on time, and I'm backing them to that extent. And in Kickstarter, it sounds like it's a lesser standard. Did I hear that right?
I don't think of it as a lesser standard. I think is my on? It's not necessarily a lesser standard. It's actually more about, we've made a very strong commitment to maintaining like a strong relationship of transparency and honesty between backers and creators. And sure, there's definitely been some stuff in the past, and you still see like a lot of creators that like struggle to deliver. But fundamentally, it's happening on a broad scale of like people are coming forth and delivering on their projects and maintaining the continuity of conversations with their backers. We want to foster an environment of inclusivity, an environment where anybody can feel ambitious enough to launch a project, but we also want to maintain a strong sense of integrity between the backers and project creators as well.
Yeah, and I think I wouldn't disagree with that, right? I mean, I think that we provide a lot of help and services and things specifically around physical products, right? And so in doing so, we do, I think, put our brand on the line in that way, which is, we want those things to succeed. They're just different beasts.
Sure, yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
so I believe there was one. We're gonna have time definitely for one more question, and I'm gonna. We have two.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see if we can get them both in. I know and we have one way in the back. We'll pick that one up. We will make sure we'll get you in.
I'm curious if you could just speak to the gender mix of your audience, of your backers. I understand that Kickstarter is far more male-dominated. Indiegogo is close to 50-50. I don't know about Crowd Supply. I was interested, one, in where are you on it, and is it something that you try to engineer in any way?
And if we could, in the back, we'll pick that question. If we have the mic there, we'll use our time efficiently. Okay.
So we don't explicitly try to engineer our demographics. We kind of let it happen naturally. But and I don't have exact numbers off the top of my head, but in terms of creators, I think so far it's been skewed a little bit toward male. We've had, but then again, one of our most successful campaigns was a sports bra, right? And that was done by a very together team of women executives who started this company and wanted to bring their manufacturing to the States from China. In terms of backers, I don't have the exact demographics, but I can tell you that we've sold all over the world and to every type of person, people who didn't even know they were backing a crowdfunding campaign, to the family of the people running it, right? So, but if I had to guess, I would probably guess that it's again slightly skewed toward men.
For us, we don't explicitly gather demographic data. Within the category of tech and design, I would say that I'm also going to assume that it skews a little bit more towards male. Overall, though, across the board on our site, with 8 million people having backed projects, and with categories that are much more gender neutral or much more balanced out, like film and theater and music, it's going to tend more towards 50-50.
And our last question is in the back.
Thank you. Excuse my voice, I have a cold. But I had a question on if you have any examples of crowdfunding a success for companies or products aimed at a more traditional business-to-business markets.
Good question.
So we
Good
get that
future question,
business to
too.
business. Is that right? Yeah. We get that inquiry a lot. Somebody who has a product that wants to sell, that the product is designed to sell into a business, and we're just very upfront about that. Crowdfunding is really more for direct-to-consumer. It's very difficult to concentrate the sort of attention you need from businesses, typically. So then again, there's a lot of prosumer, or individual professionals that would use certain products, say in photography or in some information security, right? So it's kind of hard to say definitively that it's not a good idea, but there are many cases where we give ample warning.
I don't know, it sounds like a darn good idea to me.
I actually fundamentally agree with Josh as well, that like right now, what we're seeing is much more a consumer-oriented array of projects in tech and design. However, it doesn't work until somebody does it, until somebody cracks the code, and then it works, and then everybody says, well, of course it's for that. Because we saw this with design. The roots of our company are in the arts. So when designers and engineers started showing up and saying, I can use this for tooling costs and reduce my risk on that, it made complete sense once there were a few successful projects. So I expect that one day we'll start to see the same thing happen with the business to business. And I love your observation on camera stuff, on the prosumer stuff. So it's not maybe business to business on an infrastructure level, on like what we think of today as like business to business, but it's definitely happening on the level of an independent professional who needs a bit of gear to give him an edge in the market.
Yeah. Good. Exciting times for crowdfunding. I think we'll be around afterwards, but gentlemen, thank you for your perspectives on this, and we will hand the mics over.
Okay. Thanks for the question.
Thanks, guys.
We'll stay off the stage because they can put the guys up there. Well, I think we might have a few of the panels still running here, so we might buy a little time here. We're about a little bit early here, but thank you,
So,
Eric.
should we tap dance?
Yeah, no, not tap dance. Okay. But we are coming on the close of MakerCon. We have a final session, a performance. We have a few little things to add on here. Is Eric around? I was looking for Eric of Strawbees. But if you are, come on up. But we will wait just a few minutes, and then we'll kick right into this. So it's not formally a break, but we'll check in on the other panels. I see that one's still going, and I think this is just breaking here. So we'll get started shortly.
Those of you who are hovering outside, please feel free to come on in. This is in between sessions
Derek.
now.
Let's do that now.
Just behind you, yeah.
Yeah. So let me introduce you once you get it going.
Stand up.
So, Eric, tell people who you are.
Hi, I'm Eric. I'm basically a fungineer. So what you've seen here, some of you might have seen us, or me and my friends here, Ulle and Jacob, and we're part Strawbees, but we're more like a network of makers who create simple little projects like the Strawbees, which was actually crowdfunded a year ago. And we've been traveling around building these things, and then we invented a little brain for this one. So inside this quadcopter cage that turns into an animal. How many of you have seen this before? A couple of you, okay. Inside there, here's a little brain. It has it in its right foot back. So should we try flying it a little bit? Yes. Did I explain what I am? A mechanical engineer in the background, but we build crazy robots right now, and art pieces and toys.
And what is this one?
This one is a manta ray.
Manta ray.
So this is the world's most ridiculous crash cage for a drone.
Okay, great. We got some ceiling to work with here. I should tell you that I met Eric the first time at Maker Faire Oslo in 2014, and they asked me to pick a favorite maker from the group there, and I was just so impressed by what Eric does and his enthusiasm that he was an obvious choice.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Let's fly it. That's how I fall for it. Come back. And it's very curious. It likes people. And the thing is, I don't know if you hear me, but the thing is, this makes, I'm going to scream into the, it makes people relate to the drone in a very nice way. So it's actually, it protects them, but they also kind of like it a little bit more, and it gets this very live feeling. So, you know, people come crowding, petting it a little bit, which can be dangerous. Not super dangerous. These are, the propellers are stuck there with rubber bands, so I just demoed that I can stop it with my fingers if I want to. It hurts a little bit, but it hurts this one more than me. So it's a very simple, it's just one little micro servo stuck there with rubber bands that makes it feel. Should I fly back to the back?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we have a broken wing, look. Look, poor thing. So this is the thing, it's all drinking straws. Drinking straws in a little connector, so I take it down. This is one of my favorite things. When something breaks, you fix it. I can do it in less than, I think, if you just sing a little song for yourselves. There we are. And there, it's fixed. Woo!
Mic right on him.
Yes. So now it's coming back to you guys. Is curious about what's happening in the back. They're having a good time? So there we are. And the thing is, it actually protects from the fallout. If a drone, if we would like let it, one of the motors fails or something, the drone cage protects from it falling down on your head too, because there's just straws there. So yeah, thank you for letting me show this crazy.
Thank you, Eric. Awesome.
Imagination. It's basically 3D puppetry with straws for drone puppets. So yeah,
Nice.
thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much. Okay, great. Yeah, hi, Jim. All right, Jim, what's your...
And they're actually still.
They're still getting ready? Okay. So, well, come on in if you haven't. Some people are showing up with their banners. we have a performance from Thud Rumble here coming up, and Jim Chase from Intel is going to introduce that. Lots of things to plug in still, so just hold on a moment. Yes. Okay. So I think you probably should know, but you were given, as part of being here at MakerCon, tickets to Friday. And Friday is a kind of a new thing at Maker Faire this year. We're kind of an industry day, education day, so we're open from 1 to 5. I think it's actually an interesting time to be able to see the makers yourself with less crowded conditions, and check out Maker Faire. But I hope all of you are coming over the weekend, either as a maker or as a guest. I want to thank the Palace of Fine Arts and Hangar folks. Hasn't this been a really terrific space to be in for a couple days? Yeah. It's the first time we've done a MakerCon in San Francisco. We're also happy to be in the city here and be able to enjoy the space here. Tonight we'll be having our reception down towards the Maker Media Lab, where we had last night's event as well, the after party. If you haven't been in the lab, please go in there. And if you ever would like to come in and either do something in the lab or work in the lab, let us know. We'd love to have you. Maker in residence or something like that. So how are we doing over here, Jim? Not yet? All right. Anybody have any questions? We'll fill it that way. Find one of the staff people. It should have been in your Eventbrite. There was a link on there for you to follow that up. Any other thoughts or questions? Anybody have any comments about MakerCon? Something that struck you? Something you learned? Something you benefited from being here? Oh, it's the end of the day. Everybody's sitting back in their haunches. Come on. Give me a thought. Give me something. It's better than being quiet. Vicky. Wait, you need a microphone. Travis is coming. Thank you, Travis.
Is it on?
Yeah.
So there are signs in the reception area that have a QR code on them. If you use your phone, you can activate our survey and give us feedback about the sessions you attended, including the events over the past 2 days. We would love to hear from you. Thank you.
Yeah. Michelle, do you want to talk about something?
We already told the education track that was here with Maker Ed today, but we're delighted to announce today that we are launching a school Maker Faire program. So if you know schools who want to run their own Maker, yay! This is very exciting. People have been asking for this from us for years. So go check it out. It's live now, makerfaire.com/school.
Great. So, how are we doing, Jim? Still going? Yeah, all right. What if I should do our video? Should we fill with that? All right. Jim, are you ready? Okay, there we go. All right, thanks, Jim.
Hey, great. Thanks for attending. My name is Jim Chase. I'm the Intel Edison product manager. And one of the things that I get to do on a daily basis is see all these fantastic projects being done across the world. People productizing on it, people making hacking, whatever it is that they want to do. But there's always a couple of standouts that take place. And what you're about to see is something that you don't, these types of clashes that don't occur every day. And traditionally, people making music see different types of instrumentation and things like that all across the maker fairs worldwide. But there's also other types of instrumentation that a lot of us, don't ever pay too much attention to, but have just phenomenal amount of connectivity with the maker space. And this is one of them. And I wanted to introduce to you from Thud Rumble, probably one of the premier locations for some of the most unique music genre that you might run across, and you'll see that here in just a minute. But please welcome Richie De Zwart.
Thanks, Jim. MakerCon, thanks for having us. This is our first year involved in Maker. We actually got involved because a buddy of mine kind of threw this really cool microchip my way and said, his name is Scott, he's over there at Intel, and he said, what would you do with this in what I do? Because apparently a lot of the stuff that we kind of work on in the DJ world always kind of requires a laptop. And that laptop, you have to take it to nightclubs, you got to take this laptop to your gigs, you got to take this laptop everywhere. And back in the day, we didn't really have this laptop. We had crates, right? When disc jockeys were in the 70s and 80s, they grew up carrying all their crates to their shows. Digital technology, Apple came around, that was no longer necessary. You didn't have to bring your crates anymore. You bring your laptop now. It's got all the digital files, all your MP3s, everything that you needed to reproduce an awesome show as a DJ. So we actually we were working on this for about a month or two, and we tried all kinds of ideas. This is what I love about the maker thing. We never called ourselves makers. We've been part of the whole Bay Area DJ mobile turntablist revolution. If you're familiar with the Invisible Scratch Pickles, we kind of ushered in like this whole world of turntablism and scratching and making the turntable into a bona fide musical instrument. That was kind of our goal and our mission, and we wanted to give the turntable that place. Because if you really think about it, technology is going to change year after year, all the time. But that turntable, the direct drive, has been in the same design for 40 years. Name me another technological, cool little invention that's been around 40 years straight. Technics 1200, no. There's never been. This is a design and part of like a culture that's kind of embedded in the rules of a music we call hip hop. You guys, I'm sure, are familiar with it. When I grew up, it was kind of like banned from music or kind of shunned away to the side. But I guess as we know now, hip hop is the biggest and most important cultural phenomenon that's happened for the last maybe 30, 40 years. That brought us to this world that we really, really focus on, this turntable. And in the last maybe 15 years with programs that Native Instruments and Serato have created, it has enabled DJs to come back from the grave, or DJs now to become everywhere. That's why you kind of see like super big stars becoming DJs. It's really, really easy to be a DJ now. You just need your laptop. So today I'm going to bring DJ Qbert out, and I'm going to step out and have a little bit of a thing of what we do. Hi, I am Richie De Zwart, aka Yoga Frog.
What's up, y'all? I'm DJ Qbert.
We are Thud Rumble here from the Bay Area. We grew up here, kind of like makers in our own way. We never knew for the past 20 years, making musical instruments for DJs. We have pretty much invented everything on this DJ console, from mixers to turntables, needles, slip mats, the timecode records, and even cables we've done with Monster Cable themselves. We've customized everything about it. We've helped revolutionize a movement that's been our mission, and the mission is scratching. Scratching, we believe, is the highest expression of the DJ art form. It is the most sonically acrobatic skill you can possess, being a DJ. So we help foster this mission. Tell us a little bit about what is scratching, Q?
Okay, basically what scratching is, for those of you who don't know, is you take sound, any sound, and back in the day, of course, it was on vinyl, but now you can just put sound in your computer, like that voice, and you turn that into a musical instrument. You pretty much play any sound. And you just kind of like make it, kind of like go against rules of music, and you turn that into a musical instrument. And that's what we are doing here at Third Room. We're trying to make all these different products to make the art of scratching more easier for the DJs.
So throughout time, everyone used to bring their record crates and bring their records, and that is their playlist. Fast forward to the future, everyone with digital technology uses their laptop, stores all their MP3 music files or whatever music files they have, and time-coded vinyl translates those songs, and of course, it treats it just like you would if you had a normal analog turntable record functioning with a mixer. Today, here at MakerCon, we wish to unveil two very intriguing concepts that we think will shake up the whole DJ world, and that is, we plan to remove the entire laptop out of this game. We were once carrying records. We will come into a time where we were once carrying laptops. How? Well, let's start with our little unveiling here live with you. We're going to bring our lead engineer, Richard Johnson, to come up on the stage and bring you two of our concepts with Intel technology.
Hi, everybody. What we've done here is we've embedded the Intel Edison in different pieces of musical hardware that are meant to be standalone. So right now we have a drum machine, a Native Instruments machine, and it's loaded with sounds chopped up by DJ Qbert himself, and we've got it running in under a half a millisecond of latency, which is a pretty impressive feat. It's almost real time, so I can try and hit this as quickly as I can, and it should be able to keep up. I don't think I can beat it. Pretty fast, right? We're also opening, this is all open source software, so people will be able to modify the behavior of the drum machine, add their own filters, and play around and just experiment with sound in general. We've done the same with an NI Control S25 keyboard. It's a little quiet. And you can adjust the properties of the synthesizer and shape and mold the sound. This is impressive because standalone synthesizers generally cost $2,000 to $3,000, and a controller like this is more affordable. However, it has the barrier of entry of requiring a laptop or a desktop. We've taken that out with the Edison, and this board is actually overkill. We've got the whole thing running on a board that is the size of the chip itself. And they can tweak and add reverb and other effects too. Last but not least, of course, whoops, no it doesn't. So we have timecode emulation, digital vinyl control. Here's a Native Instruments tractor record, and it's being decoded in real time by the Intel Edison in Linux. It's playing a beat from DJ Qbert's upcoming release, Eardrum Holograms. And as you can see, I can scratch the MP3 file just on the Edison, no more laptop. And this is impressive because traditionally this has required really powerful computers. You know, the minimum requirements for timecode and Tractor, I think it's a Core 2 Duo. So it's really impressive if we can have something the size of a postage stamp and actually still scratch digital audio with it. And that's the sound of the actual timecode itself, the little whine that you hear.
So this is our direction. We pretty much started this just a month or two ago, and we are going in this direction. Hopefully, I think we'll get somewhere really soon. And I think we have. What we want to do is we plan to pretty much customize all the pro guys and see how they react to using their setups back to the way it used to be. It used to be a time where you engaged with your instrument. Now it's become like this face that's on a computer all the time for DJs. So we're going to bring it back to that feeling of being immersed back into your musical instrument. Let's get Qbert back here on another little take. Okay, right here, DJ Qbert is going to take the turntable into its highest form and turn it into a musical instrument, utilizing the Intel technology that we've embedded into his mixer. So all his music, all of his sound effects are already inside using the Intel technology that we have. Break it down, Q.
Break it down. 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 Break it down.
Yeah, let's break it down. So Q,
yes.
What do you think of the accuracy? That's kind of the first thing.
I mean, it's super accurate because you're bypassing all the programs and it's optimized. You know, it's like right to the point. And I mean, you know, there's another point to this where it's like back in the days, DJs would carry all their crates of music, and now DJs use a laptop. All their music is in a laptop. In the future, with this technology, you won't need a laptop anymore.
So we're gonna usher in the time where you used to say, I used to bring my laptop to my gigs.
Yes.
No more now.
The future is this technology will be all in the mixer, and all you gotta do is go to a club, and it'll be there. You just gotta bring like a hard drive of all your music, and you can get busy already.
Dancing to a laptopless mixer.
Dance laptopless mixer?
Yeah. No.
Yeah. No, dance.
Not topless. Laptopless.
Laptopless mixer. There you go.
So we're going to usher in that future. This is one of the technologies that we have showcasing at Maker Faire this weekend. And we got a few more. Here's our next one. Okay, right here. This is a big thing for DJs. I don't know if there's any people who are interested in DJing thing, but for our world, we have never been a part of the whole maker community, and we are pretty much makers in our own thing. So this is awesome that we get to be a part of your event and the fair this weekend. We're not done. One more last thing. It's kind of our really cool, really amazing thing, and we don't know where this is going, but we just totally know what it does is going to transform the way music is performed again, especially in a live performance or studio setting. I'd like to introduce Richard and Charles Spencer, who's been working on this project. And basically what this is a data-driven sensor capturing turntable. Sorry about that. And what that means is we can track everything that the DJ does now. We can actually know what they're doing with the records. Time code is very, very exact, but as you know, there's a layer of that for a scratcher, the intricacy is still decoded by the computer. This is now data, which we can translate to something else. I think, Charles, you're best to describe it, and Rich, I'll leave it off to these guys, and we'll close it off with this amazing unit.
So basically, this sensor-based turntable allows tracking of the needle position throughout the performance. So we have some key data points that we take. Through sensor 1, we track rotational speed of the platter. Sensor 2, we track slippage, the actual scratching of a DJ. In sensor 3, we actually track the tone arm movement. So what this data allows us to do, number one, is, as Richie mentioned, reduces latency significantly. We're also able to throw the actual CPU, the computer out the system, the external computer out the system. And kind of the most impressive point is that we're able to capture all this data. So we enable coders, programmers to capture this data, utilize this data in a significant way to come up with your own program, or come up with your own imaginative idea for a DJ to manipulate. And we have one idea, if you want to go into it,
Sure.
that we went ahead and did.
So right now we've got a DMX controller that's a lighting system that's normally used for stage lights. In fact, I'd be surprised if these weren't hooked up to a DMX controller right now. And as you can see, moving the turntable around causes the light to move. It's kind of like a little robot. And the faster I scratch, it'll change from blue to red on the lights itself. This is interesting because you can do data visualization with everything that's coming off of the turntable, not just for lighting and visuals, but you know, even graphs to show you how fast your scratches are, or you know, how your practice is going. It's really interesting stuff.
So we can actually, at the same time, you could utilize any vinyl record and control any data. So let's go ahead.
And it's still moving the light, and you can hear the audio out of the turntable. So it's perfect for dirt style records and scratch records. And we hope you guys like it.
Thanks for letting us be the keynote closing for this. I hope you guys were interested in something like we're into. I'm sure everybody has their own, weird thing, and we're going to use that whole flying, beautiful thing you made later too. Thank you again. Thank you, Intel. Thank you, MakerCon. See you at Maker Faire.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. Yeah, they'll be around if you have some questions, but really appreciate that. And I think some of these ideas, people don't understand Arduino or Edison, and they say, well, why don't you just use a computer? But it really changes the interface to the kinds of things you're doing. So, thank you very much for being here. Thank you to, I want to thank our sponsors, Intel and Cisco. I want to thank all of our speakers who have been here and shared their ideas, all of you who have come. I'd like to particularly thank my staff at Maker Media. Come on up here. Vicki, Suzanne, Courtney, where are you guys? Come on up here. Gretchen. Let's give them a round of applause for Joanne. There's others around here. The best compliments I get here is that this all seems seamless and they don't see any of the work going on behind the scenes, but these are the folks that actually do the work, and there's an immense amount of it to make it happen. So thank you so much. Yeah. So, unlike some conferences where you say this is the end, we can almost say this is just the beginning, because I hope you'll take a day to prepare yourself, do some other things, and come to Maker Faire on Friday. We have a great event planned for you in San Mateo. Some of you have never been before, but many of you have been previously. And I'd like to close with a short video we have kind of celebrating the 10th anniversary of Maker Faire this year. And again, thank you all so much for being here and really continuing to spread and evolve the Maker movement out into our communities. Thank you very much. It is something that's in all of us. and it's something that's very broadly available in our culture.
Hi Maker Faire, it's Corey Doctorow here in my kitchen in London, wishing you a happy 10th birthday and hoping that you have many years more of showing people that if they can't open their devices, they don't own them.
Happy birthday, Maker Faire. 10 years. It's been a long, strange trip, and it's still going strong.
Happy birthday, Make.
What's that, Leo? A birthday? It's Maker Faire's birthday? How exciting. Oh, and what's that you say, Sheep? You want to thank Maker Faire for making our story part of the world? Thank you, Maker Faire. Happy birthday.
Happy 10th birthday, Maker Faire from Adafruit.
Keep making.
Happy 10th birthday, Maker Faire. I can't wait to see what happens when you turn into a teenager. You're going to get into all sorts of mischief.
Hi, I'm Lindsay. I'm Russell. And we're here to say happy 10th birthday from the Electric Giraffe Project.
Hi, I'm Neil Gershenfeld. I direct the Center for Bits and Atoms at MIT. Congratulations on the 10th anniversary of Maker Faire. The last decade of the Maker has grown exponentially around the world. It's been exciting, rewarding, hard to keep up with. But that was the easy part. If anybody can make anything anywhere, it really challenges fundamental assumptions about the nature of work, education, entertainment. And so the task for the next decade is to finish the research roadmap for the replicator, and really at heart to invent the new kinds of organizations that can keep up with this new world we're creating. I can't wait to tackle that with all of you. Happy anniversary.
Happy birthday, Maker Faire. Well done. Keep on making.
So we do have a reception at that end of the palace, and we will see you at Maker Faire.